Yes.
Somebody yes?
Yes, we are.
Yes, you are. Okay. Thank you very much. So now I'm on the tablet, so maybe that works better than with this strange camera. Yes, Inbal?
No, it's okay. I just put it on YouTube.
Ah, okay. Okay. Good. Now, the thing with the tablet is I have to come in with my hand all the time. And also I don't see so many people on the, you know, I have to kind of switch to see you all. Okay, so now is, you know, Yom Kippur, so it's forgiving. So we'll have to talk a little bit about forgiveness. But as I said, you know, if we don't have the ability to stay with our own kind of painful emotions, which is very difficult, then also probably will be difficult to forgive, because we want to forget, but we don't really, you know, we don't find it easy to forgive. So of course, now again, I'm asking you to work a little bit, not forgiving. I mean, can you feel when you have forgiven, you think? Is there something that you can trust and you can think, yes, I have really forgiven? How would you recognize? You see, if we would be in Esamim now you would all say these things, because it's good if it comes from you, you know, if you get spoon-fed all the things. And me also, I got spoon-fed. We will go through these 9 steps of forgiving by Frederick Luskins. He's written a book on it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's really good. So he's a psychologist, because it has to do a lot with psychology. Because again, you know, if we would have been born into Buddhism, and we wouldn't have had like all these imprints that we got from parents and society and what happened to us and all this, if we would know about that our nature is pure and that we don't have to worry, that we are actually okay, we just have to uncover that, and we would know about karma, then maybe we could use these Buddhist principles. And you can also use them, you know, if you're very familiar with it. But very often it just, you know, it's just an excuse because we don't want to work with it, because we do have to work with that pain that has been inflicted on us now. Not, you know, and then again, you know, don't go, oh, but why do I feel so bad? It's just only a small action and all this. What is important is the way you feel. Yeah, not what you should feel, but more what, you know, how do I feel now? So I'm sure that for people who are very familiar, for example, with the concept of karma, you know, they can use this, but we're not really familiar with it. I mean, if we would be familiar with it, I'm talking about me again now here, I would act totally differently most of the time, you know, but still I do trust it, of course, intellectually and all this. I understand how it can work. And, but it's not strong enough, I think, for it to work. But you see, when we know that we have created the cause for this to happen to us, then we're not getting angry. I usually use the example of a boomerang. Yeah, right. You're in a park and you're playing with a boomerang. Everybody knows what the boomerang is. How's it called in Hebrew? Boomerang. So you're playing with the boomerang, and you know, and all of a sudden, you know, it comes back in such a way that you can't. It kind of hits your head. Whom are you going to get angry at? The people who created the boomerang, who made the boomerang? I mean, you can get angry at yourself for being so clumsy. But in general, you know, maybe it would be good to do a reflection and to try to remember a situation where you got hurt and you knew exactly that it's your fault. Like, you know, I don't like to say it's your fault, but it's your responsibility, because many people know the story. I was at one point down to Delhi from the bus from Dharmsala with the bus, from Dharamsala to Delhi. How many of you have taken that bus? Okay, so you know that many, yeah? So you can affirm that the first 3 hours or even 4 or 5 hours, it's just like this, yeah? And the drivers, they drive like Formula One racers. So you have to hold on to your seat because it goes like that all the time, right? It's totally dangerous. So I had 2 bottles of apple syrup. It's called 7-in-1. You can buy in India. Because you can only buy it in Himachal Pradesh, right? But there was a lady in Delhi who had cancer and she really likes that syrup. So I had 2 bottles and I had deposited them above, you know, where you put the hats. So in the middle of the night, one of these bottles falls on my head. And it didn't break. And then it fell on the floor and didn't break. Now, of course, my head hurt, but I was so happy. And I was happy about, you know, I could have gotten angry at me or at the driver or whatever, but I was really thinking more long term. The bottle didn't break, nor on my head, nor on the floor. It didn't injure me. It just hurt. That was all. And also, it didn't fall on somebody else's head. Yeah. Can you imagine how I would have felt if even my best friend would have put that bottle up there? I would have blamed her and how can you be so stupid to put the bottle up there and wow, and this and that. So you see, when we understand the concept of karma, that nothing ever happens to us without us having created the cause, we will not feel guilty. We will not feel ashamed. We will not feel angry at the other person. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't protect yourself. You see, I know then, once we know, if I do this, then this will happen. Now it has happened. What shall I do now? Not put the bottle back up there, but keep it on my lap. Yeah, so this is the principle of karma. The only thing is karma ripens very slowly so that we don't really understand that we drew the boomerang. You know, imagine sitting in the park and the boomerang doesn't come back. Maybe a drone is better because boomerang, of course, you can remember that you threw it. But maybe a drone, you know, and you lost control or something like that. And then the drone keeps flying, and all of a sudden it falls on your head. But you forgot that it's yours. Yeah, then of course you get angry. But if you know it's yours, it's like, then that's it. It hurts, you know. So I'm not saying if you understand the principle of karma, when somebody is unkind to you, that it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying that. But it doesn't have all these other consequences that it has when we blame the other person. Yeah. And it has a lot of consequences. So, and then we can forgive. And then especially we can try not to create these causes again in the future in order to be protected. Because I'm not saying that, you know, if you know the principle of karma, that then you forget and you don't protect yourself anymore. So now, my dear fellow forgiveners, here is your turn again to write down in the chat what you think. How can you feel when you have forgiven? Is there something that you can be sure of that you know that you have forgiven? Okay. Feels relief. Okay. Free. Okay. I feel lighter. Okay. I might think less about it. It doesn't stimulate emotion. I'm not agreeing nor disagreeing with anything. I'm just watching your reactions here. Open more options. Relief with remorse. Remorse, yeah. Remorse, regret, I would say. Remorse is, for me, already a bit too strong. Spacious and heart is open. Stronger, I feel no resentment doesn't exist anymore. The memory of the experience or the event. This one I would disagree because the memory can still be there, but the hurt is gone. This is one thing. You know, maybe wait with your comments and I give you my comment here. How do I turn off the chat? So this is one thing. You see, when you, there's also this very no further negative thoughts about the person, yet this is a very, very important one. And I think the crucial one is feel compassion for him or her. Yeah, that's that feeling compassion for the one who has harmed you, that's already very, very, very high. Yeah, because feeling compassion, that means if he or she is in the same situation, you would have this attitude that you want to help that person to get out of that difficult situation. But I think for me, definitely, one very clear sign is when somebody else comes and says, oh, I just met such and such, and you know, they are very well and they're very happy. And when you feel happy about hearing this, then you have forgiven, I would think. Do you understand what I mean? You know, when you don't have a kind of way of wanting to say, well, I'm not sure if they're really happy. Maybe they're just faking it, or well, how can they be happy? Because, you know, when there's no negative feeling, when there is loving kindness, the heart that is happy, when you hear that the other one is well. And there's this very nice saying of like, we want to forget and we want to forgive and forget and finish as if it never happened. There's a very funny movie, which I found it very good. I think it's called The Eternal Sunshine of the Mind or something like that. I don't know if anybody knows it, or The Sunshine of the Eternal Mind or something like that. It's a bit of a, you know, it's not a big blockbuster. And it's about a couple who was not very happy, and then she got, okay, this is it. Thank you very much. The Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. Meet Jim Carrey, exactly. You know, the spotless mind. We don't want any spots on our mind anymore that creates harm, harm, hurt, or anything like that, or whatever. So I think it's she or he, I can't remember it so well, starts first. They find a psychologist who has this machine who eradicates all hurt and all memories and all harm from the past. And then, of course, the other partner, he doesn't understand what happened because they broke up. And so maybe I have to watch it again. I can't remember so well. But anyway, then the other partner, he finds that psychologist and also has a spotless mind, eradicates everything again. What do you think at the end happens? They fall in love again and make exactly the same mistakes. So it shows very well, you know, memories are good to have if they don't make us suffer anymore, or if they don't produce anger or guilt or shame or things like this. And now we come to guilt and shame. If you harm somebody, I think it was Edouard who wrote Remorse, okay? So remorse, regret is good, but don't go so far as to feel ashamed and feel guilty. Because these two emotions, again, it's too strong, it goes too far. And, you know, shame and guilt, it has very, very unhelpful side effects that kind of, it separates you from others. And there's a lot of fear that it will come out because guilt and shame wants to hide. You don't have the courage to say, yes, sorry, I did something that is negative and it's not good to do. You don't have to proclaim it to the world, okay? You don't have to put it on the Facebook. But you should be able to at least admit it to yourself or even tell a person that you trust. That's very relieving. It gives a lot of relief. And if somebody accuses you that you have hurt or harmed them, don't try to find any excuses. Just say that you are sorry. We will do meditations on this. It's difficult because you see, the moment we say, yes, I'm sorry, I hurt you, or yes, I did this and this and that, then there's a lot of stories that then come behind that. Now it's like, why did I do it? And excuses and accusation of the other one. And oof, it's so complicated. If you just say, yes, I did it, and you sincerely regret and you understand that you shouldn't have done it, then you don't have all these stories. The moment you start to explain, of course, the other one wants an explanation, and then you might be forced to give it. But then check your mind, how willing am I to really bring the whole story and to be honest? Very often, of course, we're not honest because we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings by being completely honest. So again, it's so complicated, this whole thing. Yeah. So being totally honest can be very hurtful. And then also, remembering that being totally honest, this is just your story. This is just your side of the whole situation. Yeah. Is that really the truth? It's just your truth. Is your truth truly true? Well, who knows? Probably not. Yeah. It's complicated. It's complicated, but I think, of course, people always want to talk about it, explain, blah, 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 this and that. And then sometimes you have to bring in more lies or only tell half truth because we don't want to hurt the other person. And yeah. But if you're able to let go and if you're able to generate loving kindness for the other person and compassion, then the other person can feel it without having to explain, and then maybe we can continue with the relationship in a normal way. But if you force the other person when you are the one who is hurt, as a victim, and that's the problem, you have a lot of power because the other person owes something to you. What if the other person, how do I open this now? What if the other doesn't want to forgive me? Well, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. You can't force them. Leave them alone, for example. I can see that with myself. If somebody kind of gets on my nerves, or if somebody disturbs my peace of mind, I tell you, you can feel very easily. I have really big problems to hide that. And I am so grateful to the Buddhist practice that there's less and less and less people that can push my buttons in such a way. And people cannot hurt me anymore, actually. I get angry, but it's not, I don't feel this hurt. I just get angry when they do certain things and then it lasts 10 minutes and then it's kind of gone. And that's really thanks to the Buddhist practice, okay? But now being the one maybe that has been hurt or doesn't like you, these people do me the greatest favor when they get out of my face, when they get out of my way, when they're not constantly trying to be kind to me and constantly wanting to explain to me what happened, when they just leave me alone. Or, if they would come and just say, yeah, sorry, the way I treated you, I can see this is not right. Finished story. No need for big explanations. I mean, this is very personal. This is how I feel, right? And sometimes when there is people who I really want to be kind to them, but I don't succeed. As I said, it doesn't happen anymore so much. It still happens sometimes. I am trying to get out of their way in order not to be rejecting and angry and, not cooperating. You know how it is when we dislike somebody. It's very difficult to work together with them. And I think this is a big problem in Israel because so many people complain about this. So if you can, out of consideration, just leave them alone and from afar, wish them all happiness, wish them all the good and wish them all to be well. I think maybe something in you then might dissolve, this big, when we do Tonglen sometimes and we take the person that has harmed us, and we kind of think that we're breathing in the suffering of the other person that has harmed us. And we are visualizing that there's like a black rock or that there's We have this beautiful mind. We all have love and compassion. We all know it, but it's covered by, by something like this. Yeah. So then, like, you think that when this black light hits it or comes to it, that it shatters into 1,000 pieces. Or when we do purification meditation, when we do Vajrasattva also, when you purify the mind, then you can also visualize your beautiful, loving mind is kind of covered with this concrete of anger and selfishness and hatred and all this. And then when Vajrasattva's light hits the spot in our heart, then it's like, when they come and cut this, I don't know if you ever had a cast. When they come and cut this, it's like, it's like something very sharp that cuts it like this. Then you think that the light of Vajrasattva cuts it open, and then the light kind of comes out, or it, with like a bomb, shatters it into thousands of pieces. Yeah. So when somebody doesn't want to forgive us, that was the question, Hilaya. Somebody does not want to forgive me. Wish them all the, have, not for yourself, but for the other person, generate the wish and send them the wish. May you be able to forgive me, not for my sake, but for your sake. Maybe something work, maybe it will work, maybe it will not, but we cannot, some people suffer so much, and some people's crust around their good heart or their goodness is so thick. And some people are afraid to let go of that hatred or that anger because they think they will just be hurt again and again and again and again. There's a lot of fear around forgiveness. Now, you can go back to work and put it in the chat. What are we afraid of when we don't want to forgive? What do you think? It's good we will do a meditation like this. It's like, think of somebody who has hurt you or harmed you, and you feel a reluctance to go totally back to normal with this person. What is behind this reluctance? Do you understand what I'm saying? We'll see it in your answers. What is the fear when we don't want to forgive? That they will hurt me again? Exactly. You see, we think that with the anger that they will harm us again. Yes, that we think not here. This is not intelligence who is saying that. Yeah, this is our perverse view that being aggressive, it will stop others from harming me. Bad. This is not true. This is absolutely not the way it is. This fear is not justified. And I'm not saying forgiving, means that, oh yeah, come on, hurt me again. I believe in karma. You can do whatever you want to do to me. No, protect yourself. But when you protect yourself, with the thought of when I protect myself, with, with a wish that the other one is also protected from creating more negative karma. Do you see what I mean? We can include both, the protection. When you lock your house, when you get out of the house. Okay, now here, I'm living here. So I locked the house, which I couldn't do because of this. So I need a key like this with the old lock, which is quite nice. And then she said, don't lose it. I said, no, you can't lose a key that is big like this. I can show it to you afterwards if you want. So, but I locked the house in order to protect the things in here that are not mine. Because I don't want them to be stolen because they're not mine, okay? When you protect yourself from being harmed by keeping away from somebody that has the intention to harm you, then you can think, I'm protecting myself also that he or she is not creating more negative karma by harming me. So then at least you have included two people. Okay, so let's go back to the afraid a lesson won't be learned. Yeah, well, again, when we do the meditation, it might become a bit more clearer. Weakness. People think we're weak when we forgive. Okay, it does. You know, the weak cannot forgive. This is something for the courageous people to forgive, not to hang on to this thing that keeps the wound open. You know, when we, there's also another story by the Buddha, that they will be hurt again, they will harm us again, that it's encouraging the bad behavior, that it can be overlooked. Yes, that's also fear. It's not about not protecting you when you forgive. This is such a wrong concept. Why is it not justified? What is not justified? I don't know. Why is it what not justified? I don't want to be in touch with such a person. Yeah, but that's fine. You can forgive and never see the person again. Never, ever. This is fine. Forgiving doesn't mean you have to go back to normal and you do as if nothing has happened. That's not forgiving. That's forgetting or pushing it away, putting it under the carpet. This is not. But also, it doesn't need, it shouldn't need to involve the other person. Yeah, it shouldn't need that the other person has to tell you, oh yeah, I'm so bad and blah, 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 and please forgive me and all this. It shouldn't need it. The same way as we make mistakes that we don't want to make. Why are we making them? Because we're stupid and because we don't know the consequences and we're not Buddhas and we're not perfect. The same way other people make these mistakes. Can we maybe start to how to say, to admit that? You know, some people, there are no such thing as bad people in Buddhism. There is a lot of bad actions or harmful actions, but that doesn't mean that the people are, I'm not saying they don't want to do it, but I'm saying they are so confused that they're doing this out of ignorance. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of not knowing what brings real and lasting happiness and what brings suffering. This kind of ignorance. People who are harming others are not happy people. Can we admit that? Can we agree to that? And it doesn't make them happy, even though they keep harming and harming and harming and harming. That's not real happiness. They might look happy and think, wow, look, I'm so strong. I'm harming all these other people. Now, you see, I don't know. I can't see other people's minds. But this kind of, if I adopt this view that whoever harms is not a happy person, I feel much less hurt. If I keep holding on to this view, they do it on purpose, they know what they're doing it to harm me and to hurt me, I can never heal. I can never forgive. You know, the Buddha, he says, in one way, we are all the same. Actually, if we look at human beings, 99.99999%, we are exactly the same. We want happiness, we don't want to suffer. We want to be helped, we don't want to be harmed. We have a body that needs oxygen, food, light. We have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 ears, la la la, and this and that. And then, you know, on one small aspect, we are different. And then we make such a big fuss about this smallest aspect. And we totally forget that we're all the same. Just as Einstein says, a part of this, what we call the universe, you know, subject to time and space. Yeah. Can we have a bit more? You can put in a bit more opinions here if you want. Protecting yourself from being hurt again. I think not forgiving is not protecting. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying you have to forgive, please. You know, this is totally up to you. If you have this view, you know, I will never forgive, by all means, keep it. But look what it does to you, right? But forgiving, punish. Ooh. Punish whom? What? If you forgive, there are no more reasons for being angry, for the bad feelings, right? And then our ego loses its space, you know, it loses its importance. We become a totally normal person. If you forgive, there are no more reason to feel recognitions or, okay, don't know. Punish that one hurt me, that the one hurt me. Oh, so you mean, I don't know, this is where, you know, that the discussion is missing a bit, but still you have to be very clear about what you're writing. So how do you want to punish the one that hurts you? By ignoring them? So again, you know, you can ignore them with an attitude of protecting them for getting angry again when you come. Maybe we should do the meditation before we have this long discussion, so it becomes not to forgive causes illness, of course, you know, makes your life difficult. Life is too short not to forgive. Okay, now I've got an email here. Forgiveness is a way to free ourselves. You know, there's this feeling, there's a few quotes also, like for example from Thich Nhat Hanh, who says, not forgiving is like sitting here and hoping for a better past. And I'm talking about, you know, forgiving others for having harmed us, but I'm also talking about forgiving ourselves for having harmed others. It goes into the same, into the same category. Or there's another quote which says, not forgiving is, you drink the poison and you hope that the other will die. Is that a punishment for the other? Isn't that rather a punishment for yourself? Forgiving has the word giving in it. So you give something, you give a gift to somebody. Who is the one who is really getting the gift? Whom are you punishing if you don't forgive? Yeah, Imbal is going like this. Yes, that's what you are. You're really punishing yourself. And so now go slow with this, you know, especially if you have an attitude, no, this I can never forgive. So be gentle with yourself and go very slow. Let that sink in. How do I feel when I don't forgive? You see, when you don't forgive, this other person has tremendous power over you, because you only have to think about this other person, and your most delicious chocolate cake loses its taste. Do you want to give that power to the other person? I tell you, if you want revenge, forgiving, you can let go, you're happy again, that's the best revenge you can have. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's difficult, you know, I'm not saying it's easy. So don't go with your biggest person. Now, you know, I can tell you a few stories around forgiving that I heard from young people who have been mistreated by their parents, and by undergoing psychotherapy and Buddhist teachings and Buddhist practice in a Sangha where they felt protected, where they felt, you know, in this Buddhist Sangha, where they felt that they were encouraged to forgive, not forced, but encouraged. And if the bubble breaks, you know, and you feel the pain, because you can only forgive when you feel the pain. Otherwise, not possible. Otherwise, it's like you have a stinking toilet, and instead of cleaning the toilet, you just spray the beautiful, you know, the 6 perfections like generosity and patience and karma and impermanence, and there is no self and all this. That can be used like a spray where you you cover up the stink instead of flushing the toilet. So one happened at Tushita when we did the meditation on, I have to check the time here, when we did the meditation on the kindness of your parents. And I had a young man who came to me after the meditation, and he was white with rage. I thought he was going to strangle me. He was so angry. And he said, how dare you say that my parents are kind? And then I said, well, I didn't really say your parents because I don't know them. I just said parents in general, you know, and since then I always add the word in general so that people don't take it too personal when they have been mistreated by their parents, because it does happen, unfortunately. It does happen, and it happens far too often. And when we look, parents who mistreat their children have been mistreated by their parents, and so on. It's like, you know, these painful seeds and habits that we just pass on. So I said, well, you know, why don't you sit down and then you tell me what happened to you? So he told me that how he was treated by his alcoholic parents, and so like this. So I just listened to him, because what do you want me to say? I can't say anything. I didn't say, you know, think about your karma and the karma of your parents and all this. He didn't know much about Buddhism, so don't come with karma to people who don't know about karma, who don't know about the workings of karma. So I just listened. And I said, yeah, I mean, this parents should not do, because parents are there to protect you. I didn't even say, but your parents are confused and maybe they have gone through the same thing. I just listened, because also I didn't know what to say. Anyway, so then at the end of the retreat, we do a Tonglen meditation, where we start taking the suffering of others and we put it, you know, we take it upon ourselves, and we send them all the best and all happiness and all this. Many of you know how this works. So one goes from somebody that you like, somebody that you don't know so much, and then somebody that you dislike, or somebody who has harmed you. But you go again, you go very gentle. And there I always say, please don't take the person that has harmed you a lot. It's too big to take the suffering. But somehow he did. Well, I didn't know, because, you know, I can't read people's mind when they sit in meditation. I wish I could sometimes, because then I could go, hey, you know, go slow. This is too big for you. But anyway, I can't. But anyway, I would have probably said that to him. If he would have asked me, can I take my parents for Tonglen? I probably would have said no. So it's a good thing he didn't ask me, and he just did it. And at the end of the meditation, he came, and he was, you know, these words, free, open, spacious. And I have always difficulty saying that, because I feel so touched by, by the courage of this young man that I will never forget. And he said, wow, I never knew that compassion feels so much better than anger. So there you go. And then there was another man here in Switzerland who's been mistreated by his father. And then he came to the Vipassana group, and I was giving a talk there, and we talked about forgiving. And so he told me his story, and he said his father would, when he was not well, you know, the cigarettes he would put out on his arm, and you can see the scars and all this. And we talked about forgiving is not forgetting. That was the title of the talk. And he said, but I don't want to forget, because if I don't forget, I can make sure that I'll never do that to somebody else. And he said, but I was able to forgive my dad, but I don't want to see him again. But whenever I think of him, I have compassion in my heart arising, and I understand his suffering and the suffering he will have to go through in the future. And so he says, this gives me the best feeling that I have ever had, having been able to forgive him and wish him well. So I don't want to forget that this happened to me as a child. So again, you know, these are two examples of very, very strong people, probably, who have had a lot of help, so that they wouldn't, you know, harm themselves even more by forcing themselves to forgive. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so this is important. Never force yourself to forgive. So I will tell you these 9 steps for forgiving. This is from this book by Frederick Luskin, Luskin. So he says, it talks about 9 steps. So to forgive, you need to be able to feel the pain. All right, there's a few more chats. Maybe I just check if they, why is it difficult to forgive to myself? Because we think we're so bloody perfect, isn't it? You know, we're not. We're making mistakes. It's okay. Everybody does, makes us human beings. So forgiveness is a way to free ourselves from the past. We can't change others if they don't want to change, but we can help ourselves to move on. Yeah, and the most healing way is through compassion opposed to ourselves, those who harms. Yeah, and to views, you know, we need to have a certain view why this happened to ourselves. Just saying, oh, wrong place and wrong time, this is not enough. You can only forgive when you feel the pain. Yeah, maybe that is also a part of the fear. Yeah, we don't want to feel the pain. And we will do a meditation after the break where you learn to stay with your painful emotions and memories, not to run away. And you there also, you have to go very slow and not take the biggest ones. Okay, and it's a technique that you need to learn, the same way you need to learn how to climb rocks. You can't just say, okay, here I go, you know, or how to, I don't know, how to surf with these what's it called, kites, you know. Kite surfing looks great. So if you just put on a board and you go in Tel Aviv when there's a lot of wind, and you go and you have the waves and the wind, gosh, you break your neck, you know. So this is it. You need to train, you need to learn. Okay. So you need to know how you feel. You need to be able to express it with words. This is why I'm always asking you to put in the chat or to tell me, how do you feel? And make that an exercise in the morning. Sit down, calm down, and then watch how you feel. Okay, probably Varda has found the book. Thank you, Varda. You're great. This is fantastic. I will not open the whole thing because, yeah. So, and you need to be able to talk about this. You need to be able to tell a trustworthy person. Yeah. Now, next step. Commit yourself that you will do everything to feel better for yourself, not for others. A commitment. So forgiving, then the third one is not necessarily reconciliation or condoning of action. This is what we're afraid of, that we're going, you know, oh, it wasn't so bad and it's so long ago and why do I still feel hurt? That's stupid. That's nothing to do with time nor with what happened. So it's, you don't need to kind of make it smaller than it was. Don't make it bigger either, but anyway. Find peace through understanding. Blame less. Take it less personal. Change the story. Okay? Change the story. Don't get stuck in the same story. Sometimes also they say, not forgiving is like an aeroplane who cannot land, you know? Or watching a crap movie, that changed the story, watching a crap movie on TV and refusing to change the channel. So it's a bit like that. Look, so now whatever appeals to you, take it on board. If you think, no, this is crap, this is stupid, don't believe it, don't take it, it's fine. Yeah, these are just a few points that might be helpful. Then get the right perspective. That's the fourth step. Recognize that the pain comes from hurt feelings, thoughts, and physical upset now, not from what happened then. Yeah. Now it's us holding on to this kind of what happened and not being able to let go. Heal these hurt feelings with what we did this morning. I am a good person. I'm worthy. I can love. Even if it's just loving myself, good enough. But this is the most difficult thing to do. You know, think about an animal. Think about a pet. Think about something that is alive that your heart opens when you think about that person. Your guru, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa. I don't know. You know, get in contact with you, the good sides in you. Change the story in I'm just so bad. You know, it's like so boring all the time, the same story here. Be aware, strong emotions do not last that long if you hold them with awareness. This is so important. They don't last that long. If you're able to hold them, if you're able to make the step out of it, then they don't hijack you. When you feel upset, practice stress management to reduce body reaction of fight, flight, or freeze. This you can learn in any MBSR course. Mindful, what's it called? Stress reduction through mindfulness or something like that. And also NIF is, you know, they are offering the 16 guidelines, all of this, you know, how to cultivate healthy, strong emotions that will help you to be the person that you want to be. Yeah, if you all know NIF, maybe you can just put, if you want into chat, you can put your email, and if people have questions about this, they can ask. I think it's taken off like a jet plane in Israel, this whole thing about 16 guidelines, because it's so needed. You know, it's a non-religious way how to deal skillfully with your painful emotions, and to, especially, we need to have some antidotes that are healthy. So especially also then, you know, and then it's not religious. Yeah, thank you. So it's not religious. It's available to everybody. Yeah. How to heal these hurt feelings and hold them with awareness. That's what we will do after the break. When you feel upset, practice stress management. This we had. Then, you know, fight, flight, or freeze. This is our usual reaction. None of it is helpful. Yeah. So look which one is yours and then try to work with that one. Then the sixth one is give up expecting things that others do not want to give you. If they can't forgive you, well, leave them alone. You know, there's so many other people that love you. It's difficult to forgive. We'll meditate on it. Be flexible, see the good things that you have. Again, not to gloss it over, not to spray the, you know, not to spray the beautiful smell, but to come back up so then you can work with it. Look for other ways to attain your goals than by methods that hurt you. Change focus. Then eighth, life well lived is the best revenge. So that's what he says. Instead of focusing on wounded feelings and thereby giving the person power over you. Yeah, when you feel, if you keep feeling hurt, this person has so much power over you. Learn to look for love, beauty, and kindness around you. Then the ninth step, amend the grievance story, and then to remind ourselves again and again and again of the heroic choice to forgive. It's a choice that we are making. It has nothing to do with the other person, whether they come and ask for forgiveness or not, and this and that. So what's also good to have is non-judgmental awareness, reframing. You know, this is what they in psychology also they call reframe. Come back, change the story, reframe, and develop opposite mental states, like, for example, the 4 immeasurables. Now, you know, when I talk about love and compassion, it doesn't necessarily have to be for that person that hurt you. It can be for anybody. That is the, you know, then we start to nourish it, and then we can apply it to the other person. But if we can't even have love and compassion for people who have not harmed you, well, how can you have it for others? And if you can't have it for yourself, then it's very difficult. Then there's the thing about self-compassion. Have you heard about this? What many of you have. If you haven't heard, there's this wonderful lady called Christine Neff, which is a psychologist, and you can find it on YouTube also, where she talks about self-compassion. So for self-compassion, you need to be able to hold your strong emotional sensations with full awareness. So this is, you're not training that with your strong emotions. You're training that as a daily practice by seeing whatever comes up, like we did in the morning. Okay? Don't take your strongest emotion. You know, we never train any awareness, and then we want to do it with our strongest emotions. Gosh, you're going to break your neck. You're even going to hurt yourself even more, because you will get locked in these strong emotions, and you have absolutely no antidotes. And why sometimes our subconsciousness does not let them come up, these feelings of hurt, because the subconsciousness knows that we have no skillful antidotes. And this is why it keeps it. So first you have to develop these antidotes, you know, and develop love, compassion, equanimity, and joy for beings where it comes easy. And then, you know, then you proceed. So that's the first step of self-compassion, is you hold your strong emotional sensation with full awareness that needs to be trained. The second step is you do like kind of reframing or nourishing yourself. I think Tara Brach, which is also very good in that aspect, she calls it nourishing, meaning you go into that thing and you ask yourself, where does it hurt? You see, it doesn't hurt in the head, it doesn't hurt in the brain, it doesn't hurt up here, it hurts somewhere in the body, you know, even in your belly, in your throat, in your heart area. So many people are not in contact with their body. If when we can't forgive, we would be in contact with our bodies, we would have much more wish to forgive, because we see how much it hurts not being able to let go. But because we're constantly in the head, we have to come in the body. And then when you ask this question to yourself, where does it hurt? Automatically you go in the body, because we understand the mind can't really hurt. It is the mind that produces these body sensations. Okay? And then in order, so, and then to nourish yourself, what do I need right now? Not, you know, what do I need from this other person? It's like, what do I need right now, sitting here on this cushion? And something realistic, something that you can get. So, for example, if you're not able to open up your heart towards yourself, that either you have done this or you have done this to somebody else, then, you know, think about your object of refuge, and, you know, the Dalai Lama or somebody that you respect, and just think that they're looking at you with loving kindness, accepting you the way you are. Christine Neff, yeah, exactly. Thank you. That they're looking at you with loving kindness, and they're accepting you the way you are, and that you are accepted. You know, feel loved if you can't give it to yourself, and think about, what do I need right now? Not before, not after. Don't go around, I would have needed then to be loved by my parents. Well, I'm sorry, you were not. So what are you going to do about this now? Me, 71 years old, you know, they're long dead. So what am I going to blame them? Then again, I'm stuck. What do I need right now? I need to open up. And then, so that this self-compassion doesn't go into self-pity, you need to think about the shared humanity. I am not the only one. This one very simple sentence is good enough. You know, when we feel hurt, we feel so alone, and then the pain becomes so big. Just this one thing, I'm not the only one. The pain gets smaller very often. Then the ego comes again. No, don't let go. This is terrible. You know, I experienced the worst pain in the world. Nobody experiences that, and all this. Don't forget, we are not on a competition of suffering. Suffering should not be. This is not what we want. So, you know, don't go around boasting that, oh, but my hurt is the biggest hurt. Well, you know, what kind of medal do you want to get for that? What's the point? Yeah, we just get angry. And the thing is, when we feel like the victim, you know, we take liberties that as non-victim we would never take. We harm others, we punish them, we hurt them, you know, sometimes not even the person who has harmed us, but anybody else. And then we go like, yeah, what do you want? I have been hurt. I've been treated like this in a bad way. So it's not skillful. Okay, so self-compassion can very quickly go into self-pity when you think too much about your own suffering and you don't think about suffering of others. So be careful. So that step is very important. The shared humanity, as they call it. Yeah. I'm not the only one. Okay? Remind yourself of the heroic choice to forgive. If even nobody else wants to forgive, I will forgive. So you see, all of these things are very good, but only the wisdom of emptiness will be the ultimate antidote. As long as we have a sensation of a separate I or me, we will get hurt again and again and again and again. But we can either just let it go or we can hold on to it. Yeah, this is, and again, you know, when I say let it go, just check in your heart, in your mind, what does it do to me when she says, oh, she says, just let it go. And then you watch, what does it do? Do I see the possibility of just letting it be, just letting it go? It's finished, it's past. The Buddha says, what we think is what we call the awakened state when we are awake. He says it's like being in a dream. Our mind creates a reality that is like in a dream. Something happens, we react, it looks real, but it's not true. When we wake up, the emotion, you know, the heart might still be beating, but the emotions are gone. But unfortunately, this waking up will only come when we have realized emptiness. It will not come before. I guess, Nif, you didn't wave at me, but it's nice that you did wave at somebody. But you see, now I can be very offended and say, oh, they're writing messages to each other, which, but I also do. It's a shared humanity. You know, if I'm on my computer, I see somebody I haven't seen for a long time, I start chatting with them and only listening with one ear to the person who is speaking. So I could be hurt, or I can say, well, I do the same thing. The same goes for forgiving, you know. Of course, okay, I have been hurt, but I also hurt others. And I feel bad about this. So I think, you know, I said more or less what I wanted about what is forgiving and what is not. Yeah. So is that clear? Or do you have questions or comments? What is the name of the mention a minute ago? Watching you, yeah, this is Christine Neff, selfcompassion.org. Neff, where can I find the steps? So that's in Vada's thing, the practice and the power of forgiveness with Fred Luskin. You can find it there. Okay, also, you know, you don't need to, just maybe remember something that speaks to you, something that is feasible for you. You know, we're great in just gathering more and more and more information. And then we spend so much time in learning that information that we never get time to practice it also. Yeah, but if you find it helpful, then by all means do. So are we all clear? Because then we can go, I think, into the break for 15 minutes. And then we do the meditation on trying to hold difficult emotions. And then a little bit letting go and forgiving. But through understanding. Not true, I want to because I have to, or something like that. Are you all okay? And don't forget, yeah, it's not easy to forgive. It's really, really, really difficult. Don't underestimate the job. Yeah, so don't go breaking your neck. Be kind to yourself. Don't be too ambitious Buddhist kind of, you know, I'm not allowed to be angry. I have to forgive. Otherwise, I'm not a good Buddhist. You know, you don't read in the traditional Buddhist text, you don't read that much about forgiving because no need, because they understand karma and they have very healthy self-confidence. Not everybody, of course, not all the Buddhists, it doesn't come because you were born a Buddhist. Yeah? It's not in their genes. It's not passed on by parents. It's for Buddhists who study and practice from already very small. It's not just because I'm born a Buddhist, therefore I know about karma. No, it's when you study it. But at least you, even if you don't study it, you hear it again and again and again and again. So it's not so much the neighbor's fault, but it's the karma's fault. And it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. Also, change words when they are not helpful. You know, use other words. It's fine. We have so many words. We have so many definitions. Are we all clear on this? So we make, okay, people are nodding, so I guess you're clear. There's no more questions. So I guess we make 15 minutes break, and then we do the training of sitting with painful emotions. If you don't have painful emotions, that's fine. If you would have some, that would be great, because then you can use them. If you have none, then just learn the technique. That's fine, you know, because the technique, we need to know it when these painful emotions come up. Okay, good. We go into the break. I need to have permission from my boss here, which is in Baal.
Yes.
Is this okay? Okay, you all know, not of course, you can say no, it's like I don't know. Okay, so 15 minutes break, I think it's enough, yeah? So then we do the meditation, maybe with the break in between, we see how it goes. And then if you want, then at the end of the day, I think there's half an hour break at maybe 3 o'clock or something. Yeah, at 3 o'clock, then there's half an hour break. And then I will do with you, if you want, that's religious, that's Buddhist, a Chenrezig meditation with some Tonglen, but even non-Buddhists can do it. It doesn't, you're not becoming a Buddhist if you are chanting Om Mani Padme Hum, okay? That's okay, you can just use it as a method. All right. Then see you in 15 minutes.
Thank you.